A win so big it had Mike Tomlin saying, we're not that good. A win so big it has you saying maybe the Bucs can be that good. All this and more with Kevin Blackstone, Sarah Spain, Tim Kalishaw, and Bill Plaschke. You ready? You ready? Let's go!
Is your shirt untucked? Is your shirt untucked, Tony? Hard to tell.
Casual Fridays, Phil.
Oh, okay. Okay. This looks different, I feel.
We're probably not that good. Both, that's what I say right now, and also that's what Mike Tomlin said last night after his Steelers put up the 52. Ron Rivera, quote, this bleep happens. So we start knowing that. The 52 the Steelers put on the Panthers and the notice they gave the rest of the AFC. That's where we're going to start. How this team is rounded into form. A team that could score a half a hunch. A team that could play defense the way they do. After the bizarro start they had to this season. Tim Kalishaw, around the horn to you. What message did the Steelers send last night?
Well, I don't think I've ever started a message with I'm probably not that good, although I probably did pick Carolina to win. Luckily not on this show. But let me say this. Here's what impressed me last night, even when they're scoring in the 50s. It was the Steelers' defense, because that's been a question mark for some time, and starting with the Vince Williams interception, obviously. But moving on from that, 5 sacks of Cam Newton. And then the big one, he only ran the ball twice. They did not let him get out of the pocket. They did not let him make plays the way he has been with everyone else this year. I think the Steelers' defense, even on this night, rose almost to the level of the Steelers' offense. That means they are pretty good.
To have the courage of conviction to say the defense was better than an offense that scored, well, not 52 because there was a pick 6, but 52 points is what the team put up. Sarah Spain, do you have that courage like Tim Kalishaw has?
I don't. I think it's still more about the offense, even though the defense was impressive. For me, what's interesting about this game is that so often we make decisions about teams early in the season, and because of all the Le'Veon Bell drama, because of the rest of the drama surrounding this team and their slow start, we kind of weren't sure what we have with them. A game like this might be what's necessary to shake a little sense into all of us and realize what kind of team we have. We're going to find out how good they are, though, because they still have to face the Jacksonville Jags. Not a great team, but one they always struggle with. The Saints, the Bengals, the Chargers, and the Pats. So we might be saying right now this team is unbeatable. And then when they face all those teams down the stretch, we might be saying they're not that good.
But Kevin Blackstone, are you sensing you saw something from Pittsburgh last night that you haven't seen from them all season?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, what you saw was a cohesive unit. I mean, we're talking about praising the offense. We're talking about praising the defense. You could even praise the special teams if you want to last night. What Mike Tomlin has done with this team, the way that they started off this season, is really remarkable, right? I mean, they start out the year with a tie against the Browns. They could have beaten the Chiefs. And now they've reeled off 5 straight in very impressive fashion. This is a top 10 defense, a top 5 offense, and they've got their best weapon still sitting out.
Oh, you're talking about Le'Veon Bell. All right, we'll address him in a second because there's another update for Le'Veon Bell. But first, Bill Plaschke on the 52 last night from Pittsburgh.
Yeah, you know, they seem so fractured for much of the season. Not solely they seem focused. I thought the key thing to me was when Eric Reid had what I thought was that flagrant hit, the entire Steeler team was on him then. I mean, in the whole diversity of the attack, 7 different players scored touchdowns, one short of NFL record. Ben was only pressured 3 times on 28 dropbacks. They really covered for him. They played like a team. And this is what they can be. And I agree with Sarah, tough schedule. But they seem.
But you say they play like a team, which is interesting to me because maybe too much was made of it after week 1 or week 2. I mean, they had the tie and they had a loss early on, but then they were going through Le'Veon Bell. The offensive line was sniping at Le'Veon Bell. Ben was getting the offensive line side, and this team needed to be put back together again. You believe that's what Mike Tomlin's done, Bill Plaschke?
Yeah, and I think he gets 0 credit for any of this, right? You know, everybody thinks
you can give it to him right now.
But he's done something. But he's done something, and let's give him credit. Okay. And let's throw in Antonio Brown, all the drama he brings, too. He's handled all that.
Actually, though, that's a mute for 3 people because Blackstone did bring up Mike Tomlin. But if you're going to say Tomlin gets 0 credit, you just had a chance to give him credit, Bill Plaschke. Let me ask you this.
And I did.
You brought up the Eric Reid hit on Roethlisberger that led to everything and his ejection. And then there was also a T.J. Watt hit on Cam that led to nothing and his not being flagged, let alone ejected. So how do you consider each, and can you compare the two?
No, I don't think you compare the two. I think Reid hit Roethlisberger in the head. That's an ejection. It looked like he was going for his head as an ejection. Watt hit Cam in the shoulder. I know it looked like Watt may have led a little bit with his head, but it did not seem flagrant at all. You have to protect the quarterback's head. In this case, it was.
It looked like Watt led a little bit with his head, Plaschke says. What do you say, Kalisha?
But not much.
Yeah, I mean, if there's one play the NFL wants to protect, it's the sliding quarterback. He's going feet first. The play is over.
Right.
You can't dive at his head. It doesn't matter if Reid didn't make that good a contact. He was clearly going for it. That should be in his.
Sarah Spain?
Yeah, and it was a good call because in real time, you might have wondered if Reid had already made that move and started towards him before he realized he was sliding. Yeah. You watch it in slow-mo and you realize very clearly that he angled his body to try to get him as he was getting lower into the slide. That's clearly an ejection.
Kevin Blackistone.
And not only that, he got him. He bounced his head off the turf. And as far as the other shot on Cam Newton, that was leading with the crown of your helmet. That's something that you want not to do if you're the defensive player. And certainly, had Cam not had his arm up, that could have been a hit.
So you think it's because Cam had his arm up, he protected himself a little bit, and there's no flag there, or you think there should have been a flag there, KB?
No, I think leading with the head.
I think a conversation I saw while it was happening was every other quarterback, that's a flag. But for Cam Newton, it's not. Sarah, you're
for whatever reasons, makes no sense.
Sarah, you believe that's true?
Yeah, absolutely. Because he did the exact thing that they said they were going to focus on. We've seen other players breathe on a quarterback and get the call. For some reason, Cam gets a guy with a head straight into his chest and nothing gets
Sarah,
called.
Tim, would you call this a wake-up call for the Panthers or just a bad game on a short week? Tim first.
Oh, it's definitely a wake-up call. They're 1-3 on the road. That's the kind of the mirage of their record being 6-3. They've already played 5 home games. They got to start playing a lot better.
We've been so hot
away
on
from
the
home,
Panthers.
or there won't be a factor.
We've been so hot on the Panthers in part because we're so excited about North Turner and what he's doing with Cam Newton, best passer rating in the red zone in the NFL. But they've been feasting a lot of mediocre teams, which there are a lot of in the NFL. They face a good team like this and they get routed.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of mediocre teams in the NFL. You gave the schedule for the Steelers before you threw the Jaguars first and foremost there. Who knows what the Jaguars are? Last year they finished strong. But go ahead, Sarah.
Just because the Steelers have struggled with them, not because they're a tough team.
Kevin Blackistone did us a favor and invoked the name of Le'Veon Bell, which makes this the 1,365th story of Le'Veon Bell, the comeback story. If he comes back as expected next week, Kev, can he make this offense even better?
Absolutely can make it better. I mean, you can't add Le'Veon Bell and get worse. What this guy does is add a dimension that they don't have right now. He was one of Roethlisberger's favorite targets in 2017, threw to him over 100 times. Most of those at the line of scrimmage or behind the line of scrimmage in a check down situation where he's in space and he makes things happen, can move the chains, can get into the end zone. And they can even run him as a split out. We've seen that happen. So a dimension that they don't have right now.
Yeah, Le'Veon's last 9 games last year are pretty much similar to Connor's first 9 games this year. So basically, you got 2 Le'Veon Bells. It's tremendous for them, and I think they're strong enough in that locker room to accept him back and welcome him back. And now you got 2. It's unbelievable.
Tim, on Le'Veon Bell coming back?
I think there's an issue with the fans. I think we know where they stand, and they're fine with James Conner. And some of the offensive linemen may be as well. But all you really have to see is James Conner in concussion protocol to know you need an extra running back for the rest of the year and in the playoffs. So you need Bell.
Sarah, the idea of adding Le'Veon Bell for a second half and postseason run, I mean, that's got to be something you would take in if you're the Steelers.
It seems like a no-brainer to me. Do you want a guy who had back-to-back seasons with 1,200 receiving and 600 catching? Yeah, absolutely you want that. The question for me is, why would he do it? He's already given up $9 million. Why would he come back and risk injury in his next big payday for $5 million?
Anyone want to try to answer that question? Sarah poses a question. She'll get the points until somebody answers the question. Tim Kalisha, Kevin Blackistone?
Well, I mean, I think he wants to make some money this year, and I do think he needs to play a little bit just to remind people who he is so he can get
Yeah, I mean, would you say public perception of Le'Veon Bell right now is lower than it was when this holdout started? Tim would agree with that. Kevin Blackistone? Plaschke?
Yeah, it's definitely low. It's lower, but again, he's got his legs underneath him. He's going to end up winning in this, believe me.
Where else can your legs be? We'll move on. Bucks 134, Warriors 111, and the idea whether you can have even a statement game in November or whether this Milwaukee team might have it in their DNA to be the type of team that can do this to the champs. This game was over quick. Bucks didn't even need a fourth quarter, and they did it at Oracle. Bill, can you have a statement win in November?
I don't know if it's a statement game, not with Draymond not playing and Curry getting hurt, but it's a statement. 11 games. They're 9-2. They've beaten Golden State. They've beaten Toronto, the two teams that couldn't be meeting in the finals. They have a new coach, a new arena. Giannis is playing well. They scored 84 points in the paint last night. That's the most anybody scored in the NBA in the paint in 6 years. And you did it with Bledsoe and Brogdon. You know, I think they've got a chance to really make some noise.
I was really intrigued by this stat, Plashke. The points in the paint in 2018 and still being able to score 130 again. Could that be in the DNA, as I was saying, to match up against these Warriors?
That could be if you have penetrating guards and you have quickness, and Giannis is like a guard playing all over the court. Yes, basically yes.
Tim, you can address the Bucks, or you can address the blueprint maybe they laid out against the champs. Go ahead.
Well, it's a blueprint, but I don't know if you can do it 4 out of 7 times when you need to in the spring. But you know, a national TV game against the Warriors for the Bucks, that looks a lot different to them than it does to Golden State. They feel like all their games are on national TV, and it's not that big a deal. This was a fun game for them, and they are a good team. They're better. They go way beyond Giannis.
Sarah Spain?
Yeah, there are a couple of caveats, obviously, with Curry being hurt for part of it and Draymond not playing, and it being the Warriors, where we never know because they're always cruising if they just feel like taking a night off. That being said, it's absolutely a statement win for the Bucks. Because of what we saw, this will make us watch them differently for the rest of the season because it was the Warriors and because of the fashion in which they did it.
And I tell you what, they have reason to believe that they maybe could have beaten them even if the Warriors were at full strength. Because one thing that this team is doing that's interesting in this season is they are forcing more 2-point shots, mid-range jumpers than any team in the league, which means they're chasing people off the 3-point line, which is the way the Warriors absolutely burn.
Well, how can they not be? I mean, everybody in that team has a wingspan that's about 13 feet long. I mean, that's the point of this team, which I'm getting to with the DNA of this team, or at least could any other team do what they do to Golden State? And I don't know what the answer is to that, but Bill, you could try to answer that.
Bill Budenholzer has finally figured it out. He's harnessed their great talent. It's all about Giannis. I mean, nobody has another Greek freak. He changes everything on every part of the game.
We were all excited about the Celtics going into this year. Let's not forget it took them 7 games in the first round to get past this team.
We won't forget because you just brought it up after the horn to get tied with Plashke. You know, as we go to break here for Buy or Sell, I heard 2 things in there. They didn't get muted, but there was a having said that from Sarah Spain, you're on notice, and I'll tell you what from Kevin Blackstone. What else are you going to do, KB? You got a mic on. Let's go to break. Buy or sell next. Keep your legs underneath you, guys. Keep your legs underneath you.
If you're a smoker, you know switching isn't easy. You've tried vapes and e-cigs. They just didn't deliver the satisfaction you expected. But Juul is different. It's not an e-cigarette. It's a vapor product that actually satisfies. Plus, Juul is simple to use, and there's no cigarette ash and no lingering odor. As a smoker, you expect a certain nicotine experience, right? Juul delivers. Give Juul a try. Check out JUUL.com/sports. Switch and be satisfied. Yes, you can do both. Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical.
Welcome back to Around the Horn, brought to you by Chase. Coming to you from the Seaport District at Pier 17.
Scoring adjustment before we get to buy or sell. And you can do this at home as well with our second screen viewing, but we are not going to in any way let this go unmuted. Sarah Spain, Kevin Blackstone. The having said that is straight out of Curb Your Enthusiasm. It's funny, but we're not going to allow that. And I'll tell you what gets you on mute every single time, Kevin Blackstone. We'll move it. Let's go. Buy or sell. Boston was already questioning the Celtics start, and they went down 22 to Phoenix. They needed a furious comeback, and the Morris 3 to force overtime, and then win in overtime. But it's a 7-4 start. I mean, Plashke, Kalisha, Spain, Blackstone, you kill for a 7-4 start now. Bill, was last night's comeback a reason for optimism for the Celtics or pessimism that they were even in that position?
Optimism. Only 5 times in the last 20 seasons has a team come back from 14 points down in the last 4 minutes of a game to win the game. Give me those beautiful, there are those numbers that, yeah, they are. And Marcus Morris hits that 3-pointer, the big man at the end to tie it. It's a great team.
Kalisha?
I got to go pessimism. They should never be 20 points behind Phoenix in the first place. And I hate to say it, but I think the Celtics have a little Gordon Hayward problem. He's playing 25 minutes. He's getting 10 points, shooting 40%. He's about half of where he was at Utah, and they got to keep fighting through that.
Yeah, it's absolutely disappointment. It's a good comeback, but why are you down to the Suns? And why is there conversation about effort? We're just a couple games into the season. You're in a tough East. We should not already be wondering if you guys are into it and giving your 100%.
But they were able to push a button, or at least Brad Stevens was, because he flipped the script in the second half. They outscored them in the fourth quarter in overtime, 51-29. He made a shift with the lineup, putting Marcus Smart in for Tatum. Nobody's mad at each other. They get a W.
Okay. Anybody agree with Kalishaw that the Celtics have something to monitor, if not a full-blown Gordon Hayward problem, like Kalishaw really hesitated to say? You hesitated no second. Spain, Blackstone, Gordon Hayward to monitor, Sarah?
Give him some time.
KB?
Give him some time.
Yeah, he's just working his way back in.
We'll move on. Thunder 98, Rockets 80. That Houston needed a last-second shot to even get out of the 70s in 2018 is amazing. That they lost by 18 to a Westbrook-less OKC, and that Chris Paul is struggling and frustrated, and that Melo is struggling and didn't have a shot that he put through the hoop last night because his one field goal was a goaltend. Tim, are the Rockets' problems fixable, and how?
Well, they have to be fixable. We're too early in the season, and this team was too good offensively. Yeah. And although Carmelo Anthony's taking all the blame, he by himself can't drag a team from where they were, winning over 60 games, to scoring 80 points in Oklahoma City. There's got to be a way.
Defensively, the loss of Trevor Ariza and Mbah a Moute was huge, but they are getting back their defensive guru, Jeff Bzdelik, who had retired, and they've lured him back to come back after Thanksgiving. That's huge. Offensively, last year led the league in offensive rating. This year, 26th. You have to hope that getting everybody healthy and off suspension and playing together, getting into a rhythm and buying in will help them improve.
But Sarah, you started with the offense. You started with the defense, and this is an offense that struggled to get to 80 yesterday. KB, how do you read that?
Well, the offense last season was injected with three-pointers. They were 13th in the league in three-point shooting percentage. This year, they are 25th, and they're still basically shooting the same number of three-pointers. So they got to make their shots.
This is a team that seems like they're suffering from a hangover from last season's disappointment. One thing can fix this. Get Jimmy Butler. Get him now. Give Minnesota whatever they want. Make that trade now. He's not doing any good up in Minnesota. Get him out of there.
Wait a second. The offer was 4 first-round picks about 2 weeks ago. What is it going to be now?
Throw in another one. Make it 5. I don't care.
Does anybody want a first-round pick? If I told you I'd throw in a FaceTime in 2029 right now, Flashy, would you be all for it? Would you give up a FaceTime today?
I'm not going anywhere, Tony. I'm not going anywhere. Hell yeah, I'll do that.
You might be. Buy or sell 3, the Marcus Peters, Sean Payton drama. Let's take a listen.
They were going to travel Marcus to him, and that was fine by us. You know, we thought we really liked that matchup.
Tell Sean Payton, keep talking that we going to see him soon. You feel me?
Fair enough.
Yeah, because I like what he was saying on the sidelines, too. So tell him keep talking that and I hope you see me soon. You feel me? And then we going to have a good nice little bowl of gumbo together.
Sarah Spain, buy or sell that beef, buy or sell that bowl of gumbo here.
I'm always buying a bowl of gumbo. I got to sell the beef because if you're Peters, why did you want us to focus again on the fact that on the 8 targets that you were the nearest defender to Thomas, he was 6 of 8 for 127 yards and a touchdown? Stop talking and let us forget how bad it was.
It's not the first time we've heard a coach say that they saw something they liked and they wanted to exploit it and was successful at it. The other player, Peters, should just be saying, I got to get better because I did not help my team in this particular instance.
Yeah, there's no beef here. It's just Peters trying to awkwardly face the music. Good for him for answering the questions, but he's struggling with getting beat. He's still trying to figure it out. This is just him blowing off steam.
I applaud Sean Payton for a little honesty. He's telling you, yeah, we're fine. We'll go with Michael Thomas against Marcus Peters all day. Marcus Peters has struggled against others this year, too.
Sarah Spain, Kevin Blackstone, your closing arguments here. You going to invite us all for a bowl of gumbo, or are you going to take this one and go to the weekend with it?
That's early. Unnecessary.
Plaschke and Kalishaw, this is the matchup in Showdown, and I'd caution Bill Plaschke, Tim Kalishaw, undefeated since he had his appendix removed about a month ago. The man is unbeatable.
About 10 seconds.
Sans appendix. Showdown next. Stick around.
And now, a thought from Geico Motorcycle.
It took 15 minutes to purchase the gas station egg salad. Eat the gas station egg salad and regret the gas station egg salad as you presented numbers to the board. To add insult to injury, you could have used those 15 egg salad minutes to switch your motorcycle insurance to Geico.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on motorcycle insurance.
I know we're all in awe of Tim Kalishaw playing with that appendix, but I didn't ask you, Plashke. Are you missing any vital organs?
I'm doing all this with no tonsils, Tony. No tonsils.
You're not getting points for something you get ice cream after. Let's go. Showdown 1, college. 2 games for your consideration. Number 3, Notre Dame versus bizarro FSU, but Notre Dame playing without quarterback Ian Book. Number 2, Clemson on the road at number 17, Boston College. Bill, which top team has a tougher test Saturday?
When Book took over for Notre Dame earlier this year, they became 14 points better about a game. Without him, they could be in trouble against FSU.
Give me the better team playing against one of these teams. Give me Boston College. You think ESPN's Game Day doesn't know that's the better game? Of course it is. They'll be there. Bad weather. Clemson
so that's the reason it's a good game.
Well, you know what? That swayed me. Point Tim Kalishaw. We'll move on. Showdown 2. Patriots, Titans Sunday. Belichick versus Vrabel. Also Belichick versus Malcolm Butler for the first time since the last time. The Super Bowl when Butler was DNP CD. We got very little answer. Just another game, Butler says. Tim, do you believe that Butler believes it's just another game?
This is hardly just another game. He's playing the coach who benched him in the Super Bowl even though he needed cornerbacks desperately and got beat by the Eagles because of it.
All that drama will be over with by the opening kickoff. It will be just another game which Butler gets beat repeatedly by the New England.
That's been the point. Butler has let up 7 touchdowns this year. The Titans' defense has allowed 14 passing. He's had half of them. We'll give the point to Plashke. Showdown 3. Here it is, a line for the imaginary Alabama-Buffalo Bills game from Superbook USA. Bills, 28-point favorite. 28.5. Bill, who you got at that line?
Oh, I'm so sick of this. I've got the Bills, but they'll win by more than that. Alabama's got maybe a dozen NFL players on their team. The Bills are an NFL team. It's a big difference.
Give me Alabama as long as their receivers only have to have 1 foot in bounds and as long as Peterman's playing at least a half.
Okay, all right.
And I'm taking
the different rules. You know what, Bill Plashke? You've just done the impossible. You knocked off Tim Kalishaw without an appendix, without tonsils. Congratulations. Take a FaceTime.
I did it. You know, we got stunning news today. Buster Olney reported that sources are saying the Chicago Cubs will trade or would be willing to trade Chris Bryant this winter. Are you kidding me? They'll trade Chris Bryant, MVP, Rookie of the Year, 26 years old, going to be 27 this season. He had a bad year last year, so he had a couple of DLs with his shoulder. This guy is the future cornerstone franchise of anybody. Free agent 2021. You trade him to L.A. Trade him to anywhere.
No, that gets you.
Preach.
That's it. 71.5-hour break. We'll see you guys Monday.
Oh!
Where Bryce Harper's